Hey, deserved listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Keep in mind that everything I say is completely speculative based on very little information. Let's watch.
The day I met you was so pretty, was so happy. My nails, my eyelashes. Now I look like and I feel like that.
You look fine to me.
Don't give me that.
So, do you want to get your eyelashes done today?
Okay, so regardless of where it comes from, the inability to understand the emotional landscape is pretty clear, or the defense of attending to something you could fix or something's going on, but pretty odd response. So she's talking about the picture and the prospect of losing her job and all of her respect, and because my impression is she works really hard and has worked really hard to get to where she is in her career, and to have all that come crashing down because he's stupidly and in a really immature, harmful way sent a picture, a nude picture, a confidential picture with someone else, and they might share it. She's upset about that, and he sits down and she's like, yeah, I was looking at this old picture of me when I first met you. I seemed like everything was going well for me. It's notable. I don't know if I should show this, but she was really commenting on my eyelashes looked good and this sort of thing. It's an interesting way of thinking about it, right? But at the very least, the message is I was a more vibrant person before I met you, essentially. And I think anyone would equate that as like, it's because of me. I have caused her harm. At least you would pick up on that. But either he did absorb that, or and didn't know what to do about it, or he didn't absorb it. He says, "You look fine," and she's like, "I look terrible now." He's like, "You look fine to me." And she's like, "Shut up." And then he's like, "Well, do you want to maybe get different eyelashes done?" And it's like, talk about missing the mark. Now, maybe he does understand it, but he's grasping at anything, or he doesn't understand it. Let's see if we can figure that out.
You want to do that?
Jesus Christ. If I want something, I can get it myself. You're so used to those kind of relationship that's not going to work with me. I'm not a sugar baby.
Yeah, I think that's a viable thing to say for her. She's like, look, my life is falling apart, and you're just like, hey, I'll get you new eyelashes, as if that's somehow going to solve everything. And two, I can get my own eyelashes. I have a job. I don't need you to do that for me. To treat me like all of our problems can be solved by you spending money on me is not a good attitude to have, dear partner.
I didn't say you're a sugar baby.
No, then stop treating me like a sugar baby then. And just for the record, just by sitting here with me, you won't have to pay me $200. How much you pay? $250.
Well, now, I understand that she's hurt, but to start to be hostile towards him, I don't know what good that's going to do. So usually this doesn't end well when she turns that corner, but let's see what happens.
Before I met Jasmine, I had been on a couple of dates where I would give them some money for their time hanging out with me. But that's not who I am, and it has nothing to do with Jasmine and I.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with sex work. There's nothing wrong with companionship work. Here in the States, we tend to equate that kind of service with sex work. For other places in the world, Japan being one of them, there are whole industries around friendship, paying for friendship. And the Ginos of the world would rather have a genuine friend that they don't have to pay for. But when you're lonely, sometimes you'll take what you can get. This is why a lot of strip clubs stay in business. You could debate the health of all that kind of stuff, but the motivation is very understandable. I am lonely. I have no one to hang out with. I have no one to even talk to. And if for $200 I could just pay someone to hang out with me for a couple hours and just break up the boredom, maybe I'll get a little bit of butterflies. I know that they're being paid, but it's a real person and we'll talk, and it'll be a little shining little moment of my day in an otherwise lonely, horrible life. That happens. Now, on the other side of things, I'll say that some people do it just because they're just looking for something interesting. They just want to meet up. Maybe their life is going fairly well. And I'm not going to paint every Gino as someone who is suffering greatly. But anyway, my point is that there's nothing wrong with what he did. Of course, there's nothing morally wrong. There's nothing ethically wrong. And in terms of just that, there are moral wrongs that he's committed, and maybe others that we don't know about. But anyway, her attacking him in this way is, if I were there, I'd be like, do you need to take a break? It's fine if you're upset. Just say you're angry. You don't have to ridicule.
So I sure wish Jasmine would stop bringing it up.
The Gino that I met on the internet didn't text to exes, is not a sugar daddy, any of that. And I don't trust you because you lie about everything.
Right. So she's having a reemergence of the pain that is understandable and reasonable to have. And let's see if he can detect that and say like, oh, so we're not really talking about eyelashes. We're she's being reminded of what I did and that I lied about it, and I need to attend to that. Let's see what happens.
It's not true.
So demonstrate with your actions. Don't offer me material things. Show me that you're different.
I want to. That's what I'm trying to do.
Show me your mail, your email. Show me your email.
Okay, so I think under the circumstances, I think he's doing well enough. He's listening. He's not contributing to the problem. He's saying, I'm trying to show you that I am trustworthy. He could say more, obviously, but under the circumstances, given what I think Gino is capable of, I think it's a workable approach. And she says, I want to see your email. Okay, yeah, I've actually had these kinds of arrangements with couples where there is infidelity or some kind of problem like this, and one of the arrangements we might come to is that the cheated on spouse has full access to the cheating partner's email and text and phone. And that can absolutely help, because if you're worried, is my partner cheating on me, and you can look at their phone and like see everything there, it can reassure. It doesn't necessarily reassure. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not cheating, but it can alleviate some problems. Some people will, in the Ginos of the world, will be like, well, that's an invasion of my privacy, and that's okay. You can be like, look, that's a bridge too far. I can't do that. Not because I'm cheating, but because I want to have private conversations with other people. Sometimes I am talking about you, and I'm just venting with my friends. I don't want to have to, essentially it'd be like bringing her to his therapy sessions, to his friend meetings, like he meets up with his friends and she's just sitting there watching, and it's okay for the Ginos of the world to say, look, I get that you're worried I'm going to cheat, and you're totally within your rights to want to look at my email, but I want to have some privacy in my life. I'm really sorry about that. So it's a conversation to be had. But in the past, he has handed her his phone, correct? Yeah, so let's see what he does.
But I'm super smart and good at technology, Gino. So if he has been lying to me, I'll figure it out.
The new emails I would just ask, don't open those, because I have to look at those.
I'm gonna find something said, Gino.
So he shared his phone, and on one hand, it's like, okay, they have an arrangement now, and it'll help her to feel like he's more trustworthy. It's a part of, I would say, a minority, maybe 25% of the couples that I work with that go through something like this will mutually come up with this agreement. You would hope that they would have a conversation about what does this mean, But anyway, so they're doing that. On the other hand, this is also a part of an abusive, controlling relationship. I don't, you can make the call as to whether or not this is that, but when you're trying to control someone and you are trying to gain, coercive control over someone's life, one of the ways that you can implement that is to have total access to their phone, to control who, it's like, I'm always watching you. It's a way of control and of dominance. And she's exhibited some of that in the past. You will not talk to that woman at the restaurant, that kind of stuff, which is concerning. I would hope that she would. Now, this behavior in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean that, but when we think about everything, we would hope that they wouldn't go down that road.
No, I went there before, I think. This is from years ago, though. 2014.
Who was with you on that trip?
My ex.
You told me that the only time that you went with her was like to Disney and Upper Michigan.
I forgot that we went to this place.
Okay, so she is looking through his phone and finds a picture from 8 years ago, or 7 years ago from when this was recorded, that he was in Legoland with his former partner. And she says, you lied to me because you told me the only trips you went on with her were to these other two places. And he's saying, I guess I forgot that I went there with her. Okay. So now what he should be doing in this moment is be like, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry. I guess I forgot. Let me think. Are there other places I went? Just a little bit of effort. I would hope that from her if I were there, I'd be like, Jasmine, I understand that you have some, distrust of him. He has acted in a very distrustful manner towards you. He lied to your face straight up a number of times about sending this picture. And that's a problem. That's going to hurt. That's going to make you question everything. But going through his phone is maybe okay to alleviate and to make sure, it's okay. But to go back 7 years, 8 years ago and find a picture of him and get super upset at him because he didn't mention that is, that's not an indication. Like, why would he lie about that? Like, yeah, I went to Legoland with my former partner, but I'm never going to tell Jasmine.
I can't remember.
Could you please just move your ass out of my eyes?
This was 6 years ago.
But you keep lying. Stop
Am I supposed to remember every thing I do?
Gino, it's not the fact that you took her there. You keep lying about simple. If you lie for this, you're...
So I totally get where she's coming from. She has every reason to be distrustful. She has every reason to question, like, I don't even know what reality is. Do you love me, actually? Like, what else have you lied about? Makes total sense. And this is the insidious destruction of lying to people. And you'll often hear me rant, and I'll do it again briefly, which is, don't lie. Do not lie. Do everything you can to not lie. If you have to, under very limited circumstances, go ahead and lie. But under most circumstances, don't lie. It is so destructive. It'll give you way more problems than you thought originally. Even if it's a white lie, consider not doing that. Someone tells you, do these pants look good on me? And you're like, no. Consider telling the truth. Well, that's not a good example. Yeah. But the point is that in relationships, the kinds of lies I'm talking about are, I never loved that person, or I've only been with one person in the past, or, these if they are lies, they're an attempt to try to alleviate the problem. You don't want to get into it with someone, or, have you been talking to your ex? And it's like, you texted your ex on their birthday just once in the entire year, but you lie about it because you're like, well, it's easier to lie. It's not easier to lie. It is such a destruction, and you'll forget. And why lie? Like, just own up. She'd be like, well, actually, I did text my ex on their birthday. It doesn't mean anything. Let me show you the text. There's a way out of it. If your heart is true, trust that your partner will see that, because a policy of lying is going to cause not only the other person problems, but you massive problems. If Gino had told the truth, he would not be sitting here under a circumstance where she's going ballistic about something that happened 6 years ago, going to Legoland with his former partner before he even met Jasmine. So anyway, I totally get her pain. I get her anger. I get her triggering. I get her question mark. I wouldn't recommend she go down this road, which is I'm going to look for any possible scenario in his phone that proves that he's lying to me. You know, if I were there, I'd be like, I don't know if this is really in that category of lies. If you have a big question mark, it makes sense. If you're still hurt, if you're still looking for soothing and apologies and an admission of remorse from him, that makes sense. Let's go there. Let's not go here.
That's not a lie. I forgot. You think I remember everything I did 6 years ago? Can you?
Yes.
Oh.
So in a rare expression of anger, we're seeing him get upset, which, again, I understand. If I were there, I'd be like, hey, Gino, it's, take a deep breath, take a walk around. Don't kick the chair down. It's not a good pattern to get into. You're upset. Take a walk, cool down, come back. She's triggered. She's upset. Just attend to that. Just be like, honey, I can totally see why seeing that picture would make it seem like I'm lying to you. I'm not lying to you. When you asked me what trips I'd been on with my ex, I came up with the first two that came to my mind. I didn't really think that hard about it because I didn't really want to. Maybe I should have, but yeah, I went on this other trip. But why would I lie about that? I wasn't just some kind of explanation there. I think she's open to that. If I were there with her, I'd be like, what's your goal here? Let's turn back the aggression, the hostility a little bit. You're hurt. It makes total sense. You have questions. It makes total sense. You want an apology from him. You want him to show remorse. You want him to understand how horrible it was that he not only did those lies, but regarding what it was, it makes total sense. But the witch hunt aspect of this isn't necessarily going to serve the goal. If the goal is to break up with him, then okay. But if the goal is to retain the relationship, this isn't going to help.
Idiot. I made one big mistake, okay? But I don't feel I deserve, the treatment I'm getting right now.
Yeah, but I hope you could see through the situation and see like, oh, well, she's entitled to some unreasonableness given what I did to her,
That's it. She's screaming because I missed a trip from 6 years ago. That's a joke. I don't have anything more to say to her. I'm done.
All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.